Hey everybody, welcome back to Miles and Mentors. You guys might know today's guest as the Sassy Trucker from her YouTube channel or TikTok and many other platforms that she's on. We're going to tap into why she got into logistics and that lived and learned knowledge from along the way that we can pass along to you. So stick with us. We have a great episode lined up for you right after this on Miles and Mentors.
Welcome to Miles and Mentors, the podcast that humanizes trucking, getting real-life advice and insights from logistics professionals from all over the industry. We sit down with those seasoned mentors who have put in the miles with a mission to pass on the knowledge gained from years in the industry to you. Now buckle up and enjoy the show.
Hey, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on today. How you doing?
I'm doing good, and yourself?
Doing very, very good. I'm stoked to finally have you on. I've been keeping up with your social media, and man, you've got quite the following.
Yes, I'm getting there.
It's fantastic. So, just to kind of jump into it here, you have built this really impressive social media following, kind of based around your trucking journey. And we're curious, what led you to choose trucking in the first place, and what were kind of some of those biggest challenges that you faced first getting into the industry?
Well, I got into trucking when I was a nurse assistant, and then I decided that I wanted to follow the dreams to become a truck driver. So what kind of led me into that field was I was studying this guy, and I kind of ran away from him. So I used trucking as a stepping stone to get away and travel. And then some of the challenges that I face in the trucking industry, well, when I first started to get into trucking was I was the only girl in school. So it was kind of challenging because at the time there's like no female drivers, and I was like the only one in class. So a lot of people would like kind of pick on me and say, "Hey, are you a girl? You think you can really do this?" I'm like, "Yeah." So I just kind of show them that I can do it. So that led me here today.
That's fantastic. I love that story of the journey there. Curious, what put trucking on your radar in the first place? Was I mean, do you have any family history in trucking, or what kind of put it in your radar?
No, I don't have no family history. I just love traveling and driving. I like the fact that I don't have a boss looking over my shoulders. So it gives me the ability to be flexible with my schedule and get up and work whenever I feel like it.
That's awesome. I always love that. There's so much that you find in career paths like this where it does come from family history, and I love when you find that one that's like, no, I'm the first, because I think that's a really interesting story to really kind of highlight where it all started from, especially if it does carry on past you within your family.
That's true.
So, kind of touching in on some of the social media aspect, I think it's interesting, especially since COVID times. We've seen online creators take off in general, but we've seen it especially around the trucking industry, which is neat. And I kind of think it's an interesting aspect. And I want to get your take on this. With trucking being so kind of lonely at times, you're out there on the road, long stints. What's your take on, does it kind of help with that, with, not feeling so alone and being connected in a certain way?
Well, I kind of got used to being alone, but me opening up like a TikTok and YouTube channel, it kind of helped cope with my loneliness. So I put out videos and then gain support and then get others to see what it's like to be a female trucker. So I kind of use me being lonely on the road and taking advantage of social media as a stepping stone for others to gain knowledge.
That's fantastic. And that's exactly what we're trying to do here as well. So that works hand in hand.
That's
Now,
true.
with the overall kind of persona of truckers and stuff, with when it comes into kind of having that creator stance, how do you feel like the social media aspect has impacted the trucking industry?
How I feel it impacted, well, with COVID coming along and stuff, I kind of feel like that played a big part so people can make money and take advantage of the opportunity.
So trucking often means, you are with those long times on the road, and it's hard to obviously manage a business and so forth. How hard is it to find to be able to manage a social media platform, especially multiple platforms like you do, out on the road when you're dealing with, time restraints, maybe signal, all that good stuff, being out in the middle of nowhere?
Well, it's actually very hard because when I started my YouTube channel, I would have to make a day so that I can put out a video each day of the week. So what I'll do on my off time, my 10-hour reset, I'll take a break and I'll put out YouTube videos whenever I can. But lately I haven't been putting out many videos because it's kind of hard and it takes a burden on my shoulders. So I like to take a break from it so I can recuperate.
And that makes a lot of sense. I've always had a ton of respect for over the road drivers because, with so many other, entrepreneurial paths out there, it's really taking on that entire job. but usually you'd be like in an office setting and be able to manage this. You're also on the road, so you can't just, pop open a computer and, and do the business side. So to take on the social media aspect, I think is a fantastic insight into what that life, what that career is really like. But man, it adds on a whole nother layer to that job that you're doing in the first place.
Yes, it's like a second job within itself
For
because it
sure.
takes so much time editing videos and knowing what to put out there. So what I would do is I'll drive, and whenever I'm working, I'll take advantage of the opportunity to set up my what is it called, selfie stick, and take those videos.
That's fantastic. So tell me, how long, you kind of said you going from nursing into trucking. How long have you been in the industry at this point?
I've been trucking for almost 8 years now.
That's
So
fantastic.
since March of 2017.
So obviously, going into this, you had to envision some kind of a career. Did you envision being 8 years in at this point, or what were your kind of foresights when you were first getting in?
But when I first got in, I said to myself, I'm gonna drive trucks for 2 years and then start my own business by the third year. And then from there, I'll have people work for me or either open up a trucking school or a truck stop for truckers. So I didn't think I would be into trucking this long. But as right now, I kind of think it's good that I'm able to see what I really want to do because now I'm thinking about starting my own car hauling business. So things played out that way.
That's fantastic. And there are tons of routes within the trucking industry to kind of figure out what lane you want to be in. Being this far in now, what are kind of your foresights from this point? What are your goals moving forward? You mentioned with the car hauling business, but what do you see in your next 5 years plan with that?
My next 5 year plan, I'm definitely thinking about owning about 10 trucks, and then I'm going to retire. And then I'm going to help people get their CDL. Maybe one day open up a CDL school, but I'm not sure about that. But definitely car hauling for sure.
I love that. That's fantastic, and especially with the following that you're gaining online and being able to, tap in and influence in that manner. It works in perfectly with that training and teaching aspect, and especially like we touch on the show here, that mentoring aspect. It goes such a long way, and you have such a unique opportunity to really delve into that and give into that. What is your input on mentorship within the trucking industry? How important do you think that is?
I think it's very important because a lot of people they come out on the road without a mentor. So with my social media and my YouTube channel, I use that as a stepping stone to potentially help other people get into the field and try to mentor them on the things that I know. But I don't know everything, so whatever I can give knowledge to, I try to help.
For sure. And I love the honesty there, right? Because so many people, especially today when we got, YouTube and all this, you got so many experts.
That's
Uh, but I think it's a beautiful thing because I trust somebody so much more when they're blunt with you. And I don't know everything, but I can tell you what I do know and what I've learned along the way. And I think there's so much more value in that, just in that transparency and honesty.
that's true.
So, kind of going into a little bit more of your career point here. You've become basically a role model in this space for women truck drivers. What advice would you have to a new female truck driver feeling a little bit hesitant or, fearful of the challenges getting into this industry?
I would definitely tell them if they want to get into it, do it now and try to stay cautious because it can be very dangerous when we're out on the road. Like for myself, you can get stalked a lot. So it's always good to keep some pepper spray on the truck. And I would say, as far as trainers, male trainers are pretty good, but if they can get a female trainer, try to get one so they'll feel more comfortable on the truck.
That makes a lot of sense. That really does. And I think it's awesome, to see over the last few years just how many more women or females in general that we see entering the trucking industry. I think it's a fabulous thing.
That's true. A lot of women are in the field now.
Now, looking back at when you were kind of getting started into trucking itself, what were some of your biggest fears about taking this on as a career?
One of my biggest fears was dying on the road because I see so many videos of people online that passed away in a truck due to health conditions or heart attacks or someone running them off the road or being tired. Like for example, me when I first got into the industry my first year, my truck caught on fire. So
Oh,
that really scared me away from it. So I took a break from it. And then from there, I ended up entering reefer. And then from reefer, I did flatbed. Then from flatbed, I did car hauling, and I realized this is what I like to do, and I felt like it was more safer.
Yeah, that is crazy to think. I mean, you see tons of videos out there about all the scary stuff that can happen on the road, and just as many accidents as there are in just driving a regular car makes it so much more serious in such large equipment.
Yes, trucking is very dangerous. Any given time, it's like a death wish.
Oh, for sure. Now, kind of looking at the technological side of the industry, we've seen a lot of changes. Trucking is one of those industry that's heavily regulated and not so fast in adopting some of these things. But we've seen, like in the last few years, we've brought on the ELD systems and gotten rid of paper logs and so forth. What do you see happening on the technology side in, say, the next 5 to 10 years?
I think in the next 5 to 10 years, a lot of the people who have a CDL now are gonna end up getting the electric trucks, and that's gonna take over the industry because, as right now, as like there's the trucks that are coming out, and people are like losing jobs, and there's not many jobs for people because the electric trucks are gonna take over.
Yeah, that'll definitely be interesting to see. I've seen some cool technology around those as well, where basically they've got kind of rechargers built into the wheels. So as the wheel turns, it's able to recharge the batteries. And to kind of think about that, 20, 30 years out, what that could mean for the logistics industry is kind of crazy to think about.
I think it's gonna be dangerous because
It
those trucks,
definitely be that too.
you could be stuck anywhere, and then it's not as easy as, let's say, if your truck runs out of diesel, people could
Yeah.
just reach. You can get diesel like that, but with the electric trucks, I think it's going to be very dangerous.
For sure. Yeah. One of the big things I think about on that aspect of things, even just with the cars, there's not so much the grid in place that's really needed for those to take off fully or nationwide. And then when you're talking about something on the scale of, trucks, that would take so much more, to charge those and stuff on a nationwide scale to really have that grid in place to handle that. So that'll be interesting to see how fast we're able to incorporate something like that.
Right.
So being in 8 years now, what are some of your concerns for the industry at this point?
Some of my concerns is I feel like since the pay has gotten worse over time with loads and people finding jobs, I think some of the biggest concerns is people quitting because of it. And you won't have many people who can really run the loads because people are not getting paid what they're supposed to. So there's going to be like strikes and people not wanting to get into the industry anymore and taking on different fields, maybe dispatching. But other than that, I just feel like that plays a big role because truck drivers make the world go round.
There's no disagreeing with that for sure. We would be in a bad place without our truck drivers. So kind of looking at the industry as a whole here, I think it's really interesting to, again, talk about how far it's come and kind of think about how far it's going to go. We're talking about how, the pay has gotten a little bit worse. Where do you see that going in, say, the next 5 years? Do you think that it's going to kind of resurface and rates and stuff are going to get better? Or do you think that we're going to continue to, struggle in that realm?
I think one day the rates will definitely get better, but in order for it to get better, we do have to struggle first. But other than that, it's going to get better, and I think more people are going to get into the industry. And the people who are in trucking now, they're probably going to quit because the rates are very bad. Because I have some friends who own their companies and they just sold all their trucks, so they're not patient, but the rates will get better.
That's fantastic to hear. And I really hope that's the case for sure. Now, being that mentor aspect, especially for females getting into the industry, uh, what are some advice that you would give to females in regards to how the industry is different for a female than a male? Like, what is something that a female driver needs to look for and plan for to be successful in this industry?
Well, females definitely have to make sure that they're protected. Otherwise, male drivers will take advantage of you. For example, sometimes one day um, I tried to get a position as a flatbed driver, and I was turned down because I was a female. So people tend to think that since you're a female, that you're not capable of doing the things that a man can do. So there are some jobs that do discriminate against women drivers. So I try to teach women that whatever a man can do, you can do it as well.
Most definitely. Since you've gotten in, Do you feel like that's gotten any better in the industry, or has it stayed about the same? Or
I feel like it's about the same because sometimes when I am doing my job, a male might come over and they might be like, "Hey, do you need any help?" Even though it's something very simple as lighting up landing gear, they'll
sure,
still see it as an opportunity to try to help when I don't need the help.
fair enough. Do you think there's anything that could be put into place in the industry that would really help with that?
I would say what can help with that is men realizing that there's a lot of ladies in the industry, so they kind of have to accept it and not try to talk down on us.
Mm,
So if
yeah,
men just kind of be more open minded to us, then I feel like that can change.
maybe just being a decent human being. It sounds like.
That's true.
Yeah, that's unfortunate that you guys have to deal with that for sure, and I do hope that that gets better. And you know, we're all on this planet together. We just need to be nice to one another and understand that there's room for everybody. There's no reason to treat others like that, especially in that field.
That's true.
Well, so talking a little bit about the kind of influencer content creator side, what has been kind of an interesting aspect that you've noticed? Obviously, we talked about how it's kind of grown since COVID, uh, but how has this played into your daily life as a trucker, dealing with maybe other content creators out there? Has it added to your experience?
I feel like it didn't necessarily add to my experience, it added to their experience because when I started my YouTube channel, I've been out and I've been one of the main female truckers that's been out there showing people what trucking is all about. So a lot of the newcomers that come into play into the field, they see me and they want to be kind of like me. So I feel like they get a lot of their what they know from me in the videos that I put out. They use that as a stepping stone for their platform and kind of take what I put out there and put it in their own videos. So I feel like they learn from me. Since I'm the
That's fantastic. It put you in that mentorship role, which I think is awesome. And again, like we covered, it's unique in today's world to be able to be a mentor on that aspect. I think there's probably a weird side to it, mentoring people that you don't necessarily see on the other side, especially if you run into them. Has that been awkward for you?
Oh yes, I've run into a lot of people who see me online and they want to take pictures and they're happy to meet me and I say how much I influenced them to get into trucking.
That's fantastic. What do you see happening with the content creation side of things in, say, the next 5 to 10 years, in regards to trucking?
I feel like the more people put out videos, then the more they'll see that trucking is a place where people can make money. So they're going to
Yeah.
see it out there, and a lot of women are going to get into the industry as well. So I feel like more women are going to start driving trucks because they're going to see the videos that we put out there and the other women that put out videos.
For sure. I think it's a really interesting aspect
I
to
think
kinda.
women are paying more too. Content
Yeah,
creators.
fair enough. Yeah, like we, discussed there, it's kind of an additional job on top of your job, so I think it's only right that you guys make more, but the fantastic thing is it can make that so much more of a lucrative career opportunity to go after. But I love the humanizing aspect as well because, truck drivers is one of those careers that you never really get that insight into, as just a general person in the public, right? You see them go past, but you never know what that life is truly like, what entails in that job, what they go through, and kind of having all these content creators out there, you get not just the story, but you get so much in-depth reality to it and really what that trucker is experiencing on a daily basis.
Yes, truck driving is a lot of work. So it's not just driving. We have to deal with crazy drivers. We got to deal with mean dispatchers, bad weather conditions, hurricanes, tornadoes, and we still have to live with that load, even if we end up dead. So it's very hard sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. So, we've kind of talked about how trucking in general is a unique career choice, especially on the entrepreneurial side. If you're an owner operator versus working for a company, because any other business out there, you've got your office, you've got your staff, and so forth. And while trucking has a staff, a lot of that falls directly on your shoulders while you're driving the truck. Having that entrepreneurial mindset like yourself, wanting to own additional trucks and take on employees and so forth, how do you see that playing into your day to day over the next several years trying to make that happen? Because that is a lot of work to try to grow that.
It is a lot of work. I used to own a truck but I got into an accident. So that kind of let me see what's to come, because owning a truck can be very hard with the maintenance, money, and equipment. So I kind of learned what I know now that I'm going to use for the future. So when I do plan for this, I'll know what to look out for.
That's fantastic. And, no better way to learn than through experience for sure. Well, kind of looking at those, our target audience is those just getting into the trucking industry itself. Looking at back when you were first getting in, what is something that you wish you knew that you know now?
I wish I knew when I first started trucking. I wish that I had someone that can like teach me and show me the ropes that I can use in my day to day life as of now. Because if I would have known that, I would have been ahead and on top of my game. So I wish I had someone who directed me to the right direction, who taught me backing, who taught me skills that I can use in my day to day lifestyle. Because the things that I didn't know back then, I know it now.
Yeah, for sure. And I've definitely heard that while you go through CDL school and there's training, there's not so much of that lived and learned training like we're trying to tap into with the show. I talked to a lot of drivers out there that just feel like they were somewhat unprepared when they really hit the reality of the career. Like they weren't trained on that stuff that they really needed to learn, that they learned over time. They wish they would have known it from the beginning.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because a lot of people have trouble with backing up because when you're in school, they only teach you how to pass the test, but not how to drive the truck. So backing comes with time. So that's a big problem when it comes to things in school and when you're out here on the road. So I would have wished that I knew how to be a good backer because I kind of still to this day have trouble with backing up.
A lot of respect for the backing. I've driven a semi truck forward, never tried to back it. I think it would be a nightmare. I have backed
Oh,
a boat, and that's a nightmare enough. So big props.
scary.
Big props there. So we've talked a lot about the aspect of mentorship, especially starting out and going through, and now you're in this unique position where you're able to be a mentor to so many of those out there watching you. I'm curious, do you have anyone that you would consider a mentor in your journey today?
Mentor as far as like in the trucking role.
In the trucking or in general?
In general, I would say my mother.
That's lovely. I love that. Just to tap into that, how has your mother mentored you? Well, I mean, obviously through life, but in today's world, how do you see mentorship from your mother?
Well, she always guides me to the right direction. Like for example, when I'm on social media and I have these internet trolls coming after me and stuff, I talk to her about what are things that I can do I can that she can help me with, so I don't feel so bad when I'm posting up these trucking videos and people are saying bad things and being mean, saying hateful comments. But she always guides me to the right direction and talks to me and always calms me down.
That's fantastic, man. There's nothing better out there than a mother's advice, and to bring that into your professional side, I think just makes it all the better.
Definitely.
Well, we've covered a lot about your career, tapped into that lived and learned knowledge. But is there anything that you feel like we've missed that would be valuable to pass on to somebody getting into the industry?
I think we pretty much touched on a lot of things, but I would say that whoever wants to get into the industry and they're having doubts about it, that means they should get into the industry and not be scared and go for it because trucking could pay off 5, 10 years from now.
Very true. I love the advice there. Well, I want to thank you so much for taking some time out of your day and coming on here and giving us that mentorship advice from you. I want to give you an opportunity. Any shameless plugs? How can people find you and go and support what you do?
You can find me at Sassy period trucker on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, and Facebook.
Fantastic. We'll make sure to get those in the links below as well. So be sure to go check all that out, follow and subscribe. And again, thanks so much for coming on and being part of the show today. Really, really appreciate it and hope to have you on again in the future.
Thank you.
All right. Well, with that, thank you everybody for watching. And until next time, stay safe out there.
Bye.